A question asked a few videos ago was what aspect ratio we choose for various outputs. If we're talking about individual images, then practically every one of those images could be a different aspect ratio. Depends how we wish to crop it. However, 16:9 is the most dominant aspect ratio because it's the aspect ratio of our PC screens, laptops, and televisions. It's also the same format that we would use for a slideshow, a YouTube video, and for other social media. So if we're shooting 3:2 aspect ratio images, and I think most of us are probably doing that, if we want to change that aspect ratio to 16:9, it's generally going to require a crop, and that's not always possible without losing parts of the image. So cropping an already edited image may not be the best idea, but it depends on the image content and how much you have filled the frame with the subject. If you're creating an image for a camera club competition and you wish to use the full width and height of the 16:9 aspect ratio, then you can choose to crop first in Adobe Camera Raw and edit the image specifically for that particular aspect ratio. But how about a little distortion where we squeeze a 3:2 image into a 16:9 shape? It does sound an odd thing to do, but it does work better than we may imagine. Let's look at one or two examples I've put together. Here we're viewing a 3:2 aspect ratio landscape, and I'm going to stretch this image in front of your eyes. Now we can see the distortion because we can see the before and after. But if I brought this image on screen, I don't think many people would notice that at all. Here we have a seascape. Exactly the same, generally speaking. Yes, it's going to distort the image a little bit, but sometimes there's actually a positive end result. What about people? Generally, they would be a no-no. Well, even here, I think we'd probably get away with it without too much difficulty. And here's another from the same shoot, but of course this guy is a slim guy, so making him a little bit on the thicker side I don't suppose is going to cause any problems. And certainly if the image appeared like this, we wouldn't look at it and instantly say, oh look, it's been extended. A general shot from a local afternoon out. And again, no real problems, is there? Even a montage that I created at 3:2. It doesn't do the image too much damage at all. A drone shot, another seascape landscape, but again, I can't see any real problems with the content of the image. Wildlife and birds. Once again, no great problem. I think this is the one image where I can see more of the distortion than in any of the others. But again, even that, if it appeared on screen just like this, I don't think many people would spot that the image has been extended in the width, but not vertically. So here we have a 3:2 aspect ratio image opened up into Photoshop. There's a couple of ways we can do this. We can go to the image menu and the image size, and what we could do is unlink the width and height, and we could just put into these two boxes 1920 by 1080. And because I've unlinked the width and the height, we're going to get the exact shape we want, 16:9, and the distortion of the image will be created with the image size. And there we have it. Now coming back here to the original 3:2 aspect ratio, another way to do this is to go to File, New, I'm going to create a new document. I have one here which is in my previous documents I've opened, but if it's not here, go over to the right, put in your 1920 pixels on the width, 1080 in the height, and from the background contents, choose transparent and create it. Once I've got that, I'm going to just drag the tab of the image from the screen, and with the move tool selected, I can click drag and drop. Now we can either close this image down or tuck it back at the top, whatever suits you. So coming back to these, you can see I've got an image now that's far too big for the size I require. But what I can do is resize this using Free Transform. Control T is the shortcut, but Edit, Free Transform is the option. Now, a nice little shortcut we've been using quite a bit through these videos is Control 0, where it fits an image onto the screen. When we've got a bounding box, as we can see here, Control 0 continues to do that, but it includes the bounding box, and that can be quite useful. We can drag in any of these corner toggles, but there's a limit to how far we can go because we're trying to squeeze the 3:2 aspect ratio into a 16:9. But once I get it close, I'm going to hold my Shift key, and now the width and height is severed. So when I drag that top, it snaps to the top. I can do the same for the bottom, still holding that Shift key, and I can even do the same for the left and right. Now this method doesn't do the job any differently, but if we felt we were stretching the image a bit more than we were happy with, then we do have the opportunity here to temper that a little bit and then just recrop it. But here I'm going to suggest when I hit the done and Control 0 to fit it on screen that it works pretty well here too. Now all we would do once we were happy would be to flatten those two layers together. Save that, ready for our Camera Club entry. My own photography with regards to aspect ratio and format is various for most of the individual images I create, but for most other projects it's 16:9. And as we've seen, converting 3:2 aspect ratio into 16:9 doesn't always require a crop. And what it does do is retain all of the content and the editing we did on the original. I'll see you next time.